is up? Have you ever heard of a range order or a market order? Well, both of these have problems with them, but there's a hybrid between these two, which I'm calling the hybrid range order, that you can actually utilize that solves both of these problems. So, what's the problem with a market order? Well, if you have a large amount, or if you're in a very illiquid environment, you have a massive amount of slippage. If you're not sure what slippage is how much you move the market by your order, right? So big order with the big problem with a market order is that you move the price, right? You can see giant red wicks when somebody sells something, right? Because they're trying to sell and they're driving the price down. They're going to have slippage, right? They're going to have slippage also when you go to buy, right? So if you think you're going to sell, 10,000 of something that barely has any liquidity, or 10 million of something that has more liquidity, but it's just a giant amount relative to how much is in liquidity. When you use a market order, you have slippage on there, right? So that's an extra cost on top of the Ethereum network fee, right? The Ethereum fee, and on top of the Uniswap fee to actually do the swap, right? So you have slippage, you have the Uniswap fee, and you have the network fee, the Ethereum fee, right? So you're paying 3 separate fees. The slippage fee you won't see, but it's actually, generally speaking, probably going to be the biggest portion of your cost. On a range order, that's where you take, and you can only do range orders on V3 Uniswap, where you take the position that you're going to sell, and instead of selling it to the market, you put it into an LP position, a single-sided stake, a single-sided LP position. Say if my nose is the price, so you set up your position here in asset A. As the price moves through here, now you're all in asset B. So a single-sided stake or a range order has several characteristics that are required or thought about to make something a range order. The first and most important thing with that is it's single-sided. Number 2 is that normally range orders are going to be very, 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 very narrow, right? So if you have a range order that's this wide, then the price could come over here, could sit in here for a while, maybe days, come back and forth, maybe you can go back over here before it goes into the other side and you're all into the asset that you want. So a lot of times if range orders are just going to be singular points, right? So that way it can pass through there and swap you from asset A to asset B. But the thing here is time. So with market orders, you have slippage, you have Ethereum fee, and you have the network fee, right? You got 3 fees with a market order. With a range order, right, you're going to have more fees, right? Because you got to set up a position, right? So you have to pay the network fee again, right? And as well as you got to pay network fee to pull your position out of there, right? But the big problem here is you don't have to pay slippage, which is, you're like, okay, cool, that's great. Because I just mentioned it was generally speaking the biggest portion of the cost in a market order, depending on the size or the liquidity of the market. The biggest cost with a range order is time, right? So on the one hand, you have slippage that you're going to pay, right? But you get your shit done like this. And on the other hand, a range order, you don't have to pay slippage, right? You get slippage. But what do you have to pay? Time, right? So these are the 2 problems with a market order and a range order. But what if there was a better solution? A hybrid range order is what I'm calling it. And we're going to talk about that in this video. But first, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam. For those of you who are returning, good to freaking see you. If you're in the chat, I will answer questions right at the end. Now we have an understanding of a range order and a market order. Let's think about a hybrid, right? Between these two. You can, if you have a position, right? Say you have a bunch of something that you're trying to sell, or you have, and generally speaking, you have a bunch of something. People think of like giant whales, right? But it's not always giant whales that that this can benefit, because something, say like ICOSA, right, which is a coin with barely any liquidity, if you've never heard of it. And if you have a $20,000 order, you're going to massively move the market, right? And that's with the market order. And if you are using a range order, there's no necessarily, by the way, there's another piece to the time that we're going to talk about. If you use a range order, you don't know when the price is going to put you into the other token. Also, the added cost on a range order is you have to pay attention, because on a market order, you press a button, boom, you're done. On a range order, the price goes from here to here, but if you're not paying attention and you're out at dinner or whatever, and the price goes back, well, now you're back into the asset that you did not want. Yes, you earn fees, but you're back in the asset you didn't want. So you have to be at least at the computer or paying attention to what's going on so you can move it, right? It could happen in the, like this could happen where the price goes from where you're all in asset A, now you're all in asset B. That can happen like this, and you could be there for 30 seconds, or it could happen over the course of several days, right? Where you go and now it's sitting over here on this side, which is the asset you want, for several days before it drops back over, right? So these are all things that can happen. But with this hybrid approach, you split your order. So say, for example, you are either somebody who's selling $20,000 of something like ICOSA, where there's barely any liquidity, or you are a whale, or you have a lot of a asset that you're trying to sell, right? Well, what you can do is split this up, right? So say if the market price is here, I can take this 20, we're just going to use ICOSA as the example here, because I think this is going to be more relevant for people who are watching, right? Because if you're a whale, you're, first of all, probably not watching. Second of all, I think that this is going to be, there's 6 of those people that may watch, where there might be like 1,000 of the people where this is going to be far more relevant to them. So we're going to use the ICOSA example here. And ICOSA, if you're not aware, is just a coin with barely any liquidity. So if I had $20,000 and I wanted to sell this, and I didn't want to use a market order because I don't want to pay all the slippage. I have $20,000 and I want to sell this, right? But I don't want to pay the slippage, which means driving the price down, meaning I receive a lower amount. And I don't want to wait, right? I don't want to wait for the market to move from one side of the other, like in a range order. So what can I do? If I take $20,000 and I move that into the pair, right? Say the coin that I wanted to get was USDC, right? So I could take $20,000 of my ICOSA, take 10,000 plus another 10,000 or a small amount of the USDC, right? I stick that into the market so that this is the, it's in the range, like I'm earning fees. And then I can take the other 10,000 and sell that to myself for the USDC and other. So this way I don't have as much of a slippage in the market. I'm also earning fees when I do this, right? So you do have to have probably some other type of capital to be able to do this, right? Like I would be able to, like, okay, let me add $10,000 of ICOSA plus $10,000 of USDC. But I'm using these numbers like 10, 20, and $30,000, which may or may not be relevant for me, but you can do the same thing as you grow, or like as you build, or as you evolve in the crypto space, right? So you can take $10,000 of ICOSA with $10,000 of USDC, plop it right around the market price, and then you can actually sell to yourself, right? So this way, when you're creating kind of like a range order, but it's a wider range. And then you can take the remaining amount and sell it to yourself so you can earn the fees throughout this process to lower the overall cost of the position, so the slippage side, and increase the speed, which is time, right? Because Range orders have the cost is time, where market orders have the cost as slippage. So you can go through and use a hybrid order to actually minimize both of those things. And I was thinking about that, thought that was very interesting. Pierre, good morning. Patrice Von Paris, hello, how are you? Hey, Sloth in the house. What's the thing you're talking about? Hybrid order. So you can actually put your own liquidity into the liquidity pool and then sell to yourself and then remove your liquidity. All right. So that way you can minimize the time to convert your position and minimize the slippage you pay, right, to sell something by combining a market order plus a range order. Patrice, wish I was a whale, only have a couple baby shark positions. Hey, those are going to be a lot more valuable, more than likely, if they're in tokens that are still available in the bull market. So you never know. Hey, everybody says hi to Sloth. Good morning. Knowledge Max. Yes, I agree. Crypto Sloth. Thank you. Alan, my clients are late, so I can get to watch for a bit. Alan, what's good? Hope you're doing well. I just wanted to do this quick video because I was like, oh man, not enough people are talking about this, and I should. I like putting out more content and just talking about these things openly with people, because the liquidity is like, it's not something that we've ever been able to actually participate in the legacy markets, right? This is something that's brand new with crypto. To be able to participate in liquidity, to be able to understand liquidity, right? We were never privy to this. And yet, if you look at like the crypto space of like influencers or people that like to open their mouth and talk, right? Most people talk about coins. Most people talk about the things that are taking place, like, hey, XYZ coin is doing this thing or that thing, or they're going to go up because of this, or this thing's going to go down, or this is a bad design, or this is a good design, or this, whatever, right? And the roadmaps and all that stuff. Cool. I like that shit too. But one of the big fundamental differences between legacy and crypto is the liquidity, not only from the standpoint that you can be a part of liquidity, which you could not be a part of liquidity in legacy. But with V3, you get to see the liquidity and you get to understand how this is going on. I don't know. This is super fascinating to me. I appreciate you guys. Patrice, hello. I like learning about liquidity. Me too. It's just a shitload of fun. If anybody's watching this and they know how to build, I would like to, there's one thing that is missing or that would make Uniswap substantially better. I mean, there's several things, but one thing that would make Uniswap so much better is, remember when I said a range order? So you can set up a range order, but then I have to be paying attention to go to my computer and withdraw, right? Because if I set up, say, something all in ICOSA, and then the price goes over here, now I'm all in USDC, right? Now I have to go in, if you've never set up an LP position, I have to go remove my liquidity to pull it out, right? And if I don't do that, then I'm all in USDC, and then the price goes back over here. Now I'm all back in ICOSA, right? But I want USDC. So the feature that is missing from Uniswap that would make it even more better, right? It's already 10x better than V2, right? Substantially better than V2. The depth, the amount of information you're able to see. If they added an option that says, this is a range order, this is how I have it positioned. Once I'm outside of this, I want this position to be pulled, and you just check a box, right? If I end up all in, it could be like, hey, if you're in all in USDC, do you want to pull this position? Check box, boom. And then this will automatically pull your position outside of the liquidity, right? If they add that feature, at some point, I would expect them to, if they're thinking about this, that would be amazing, because then you effectively get rid of limit orders completely, right? Limit orders are on V2 and stuff like that, and V3, they're called range orders, right? But instead of paying slippage on limit orders, you can actually earn slippage with the range orders. Super fascinating. Let's say hi to a couple more people here. Hexagon Tattooer, good morning. So I was dropping alpha, working, and I'm trying to learn. Appreciate your support and being here. This is super lit and probably my favorite subject, period. I love liquidity. Not what I was going to talk about, but I have two separate positions that I'm testing to see how quickly I can build the USD value. And then one to see how because people are always like, oh, impermanent loss. Oh, I'm scared little bitch. Like, let's go through and test it, right? So I took a total amount of coins and I'm like, let's put this into liquidity. And let's see, right? You got to pay a fee to put the coins in there. You got to pay a fee to adjust it. You got to pay a fee to swap, all these things. Let's see if you provide liquidity, can I actually increase my coin count? Right. So I'm testing it both from a US dollar standpoint and from a coin count standpoint from two separate wallets to see, because I want to show these people, like a lot of people don't know what the F they're fucking talking about. Crypto Nate, hey, good to see you. I see you over on Twitter a lot. Patrice, morning. Well, I am actually going to go. It's 4:20 p.m. there. Well, Patrice, I hope you enjoy your 4:20. It's only 1 minute long. I got to go get breakfast, and then I will be back here at 11 a.m. with GRC. So I appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy the content, if you enjoy this or like know other people in crypto talking about or just want to learn, right? Because that's the biggest thing is they have to want to grow and they want to learn. Do me a solid. Share this video out with them. Like, this is how we create the change that we want, is by expanding how quickly people understand reality. And what I'm talking about is reality of what's going on, both in terms of the crypto space, but also in terms of life. Appreciate you, Hexa. ICOSA, I want to test, and USDC and ICOSA, I want to also, yes. Real quick on this, Nate. One of the things with ICOSA and Hex or ICOSA and Hedron or Hedron and Hex and stuff is that there's very little volume relative to, say, USDC and any of those pairs, or ETH and any of those pairs, because that's what people own most of the time. So you don't get nearly the amount of fees with those. Not saying it's bad, not saying you shouldn't do it. You should definitely learn, try it out, see what you think. But there's a lot less people swapping between ICOSA and Hex than there is from USDC to ICOSA, or from USDC to Hex, right? The volume, right, allows us to take a little vig, right? Everybody that trades, we get a little bit of that fee. So if you're in a pair that doesn't get a lot of trading, you still get the benefit of like arbitrage or spillover from larger orders, right? So if an order comes into the pair of Hex and USDC that move the price of, say, Hex a certain amount, then that has a ripple effect in all the other pairs, including the Hex and ICOSA pair. And it might actually be routed with the automatic router on Uniswap, or it might be somebody who's actually arbing the difference, because then they're like, okay, Hex is 4.16 cents over here, and Hex over here is 4 cents. So they buy the Hex over here, and then they sell the Hex over there, right? And that type of thing happens. But the direct volume is not nearly as high. Thanks, Sam. In order to use this hybrid option, you would already have some separate capital. Yes. For the club you want to. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Yeah, it says absolutely correct. Don't forget to hit the like and share this out. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you. I gotta eat breakfast real quick, so I gotta eat breakfast. I'll be back here at 11 o'clock. Appreciate everybody here, and I will see you guys in a bit. Later.